Hi, I'm Andrea Coutu, and I'm going to help introduce you to 7 super hot models. You should know these models, they're very hot. Hi, Andrea Coutu here. I'm going to go over 7 super hot models for setting consulting fees. I'm the editor of Consultant Journal. You can reach us online at consultantjournal.com. Now let's go into these models in more detail. These are 7 models that I've worked out for setting your consulting fees. This is actually one of the most popular articles on our site, so I invite you to take a look at consultantjournal.com to get these in more detail, but I'm going to go over them right now. You can also use a daily rate. A lot of consultants take what they'd be making and they multiply it by 8, 9, or 10, and that gives them their daily rate. So if you were going to be making $100 an hour as a consultant, now you're going to say that your daily rate is 800, 900, 1,000, depending on what variable you use there. And some people may even charge out and say, well, this is my half day rate, it's $400, or my daily rate is 800. You can also use a daily rate. A lot of consultants take what they'd be making and they multiply it by 8, 9, or 10, and that gives them their daily rate. So if you were going to be making $100 an hour as a consultant, now you're going to say that your daily rate is 800, 900, 1,000, depending on what variable you use there. And some people may even charge out and say, well, this is my half day rate, it's $400, or my daily rate is 800. Some consultants charge by the project, so they've arrived at a fixed rate for delivering certain services. For example, you might see a freelance writer who says that they charge $500 for a 500-word article. You might see a marketing consultant who says that their plans range from $2,500 to $10,000. These are the different plans they deliver for those rates. Those are examples of charging by the project. Now, some consultants also have an hourly rate that they keep in their mind, and they may quote by the project, so they're giving the client a fixed fee, but in the back of their mind, they've taken their hourly rate and multiplied it against the estimated number of hours it will take them to complete the project. The benefit here is that the consultant knows how much they're going to get, the client knows how much it's going to cost up front. Some consultants do performance-based fees. Now, this is where if you meet certain sales goals, or maybe you draw in a certain number of attendees at a conference, if you're doing event management, something like that, this is where you're getting paid an incentive or bonus for meeting certain goals. Now, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that, but if you're an independent consultant, I actually recommend that you not go with performance-based fees, and that's because you don't have any control over how, when, or if the client actually follows through with your recommendations, or how people inside their organization may manage the process. I can think of examples of where I've done direct mail campaigns. There's an enormous response rate, and then the client didn't inform their staff of how to handle those leads or record information about it. So you want to make sure that if you're doing performance-based fees, you have some sort of control about what goes on and how those performance targets are managed. The other thing is you also don't have any control over how the client measures those results. If they're not recording them properly, or if they're not sharing that information in an ethical way, there's a risk that you're taking in going with performance-based fees. Now, this is one of the most popular models on our site. A lot of people go to Consultant Journal, they go over to the right-hand side and scroll down. We've got an article there on how to set consulting fees. They want to know how to set fees using real-life data, and this is a really valuable approach. It's where you look at your hourly rate. If you were working in a comparable job, you look at what other consultants in your field are charging, you look at your expenses, you look at the profit that you need, you look at your productivity and your utilization rate, as well as your debt collection rate. Use all of these factors to come up with a rate for your consulting. This is one of the most popular methods, and in fact, I go into a lot more detail about it in my book, Consulting Fees, as well. Many consultants simply charge the going rate. This is where they take a look at what the other consultants in their field are charging, and they charge roughly the same amount. They figure, well, I'm as good as everyone else out there, I can charge that. Other consultants like to use their competitors' rates just as a way of checking in. Am I really high here? Am I really low? How do I compare? I encourage everyone to have a look at what their competitors are charging, because obviously your clients are going to be looking around. But rather than just simply pegging your rate to what everyone else is charging, I think it makes sense to simply use that as a guide so that you have some indication of what the market will bear. But really, it's going to come down to you and the value of the solutions you offer to the client, because you're not those other businesses. If you're ready, the best thing you can do with your consulting fees is move to solution-based fees. This is where you start charging based on the value of the work that you're providing, the results that you're getting, the knowledge that you're offering. With these other models, oftentimes you're charging based on time. And the more efficient you get at doing your work, the less you're going to make. If it used to take you 8 hours to do a project and now you can do it in 2, well, if you're charging by the hour, you're making a quarter of what you used to make, despite being that much better and still delivering great results to your client. So what are you going to do then? Are you going to pad your quotes? Are you going to start adding in things that the client doesn't really need? Kind of an ethical dilemma here. So if you can move to solution-based fees, you can instead charge for the value of the solutions you provide. Your client won't be worrying about how long it takes you or whether you're going to charge them for this phone call or that email. You can just focus on getting the results for the client and meeting their needs. If you need help with setting your consulting fees or in any aspect of your consulting business, come on over to Consultant Journal. We'll help you figure out how to package your services for top value. And you can get a copy of our book, Consulting Fees, which goes into all of these models in much, much more detail. And that's at consultantjournal.com/consulting-fees. Thanks for listening. I'm Andrea Coutu from Consultant Journal. Have a good day.